Turo is the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. With Turo, you can book any car you want, wherever you want it, from a community of local hosts. Browse a huge selection of vehicles for just about any occasion or budget. Book an SUV or minivan for a family road trip, a pickup truck for some errands, or even test drive an EV. Every trip is backed by liability insurance. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Find your drive. Forget boring rental cars at Turo.com.
On today's Smart 7, mortgage misery multiplies, hope fades for the Titan sub and lots more. It's Thursday the 22nd of June, it's Windrush Day, and happy birthday Meryl Streep.
The Smart 7, it's news but not the news.
If you're a mortgage holder, Wednesday really wasn't a great day for you, but Thursday could be worse. The UK's headline rate of inflation is stuck at 8.7%, and the core rate of inflation took an unexpected jump to 7.1%. Oh, and the UK's debt level climbed above its GDP for the first time since 1961. All of that means it's almost certain that the Bank of England will raise interest rates on Thursday, and there's a good chance the rates will keep rising all year. But Chancellor Jeremy Hunt says there's no prospect of any help for mortgage holders from the government.
The one thing that would not help is to step in with short-term support that meant that inflation stayed higher for longer and those mortgage rates stayed higher for longer.
With members of his advisory council suggesting the Bank of England actually needs to create a recession to curb inflation, things look grim for households. At PMQs, Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer said all of this financial chaos and the jump in mortgage rates has been on the cards for some time and that Rishi's failed to tackle the problem.
Now, he was warned by experts about this as long ago as autumn last year, but he either didn't get it, didn't believe it, or didn't care, because he certainly didn't do anything.
And with questions in the House about whether Rishi's been taking honesty lessons from Boris, the PM was keen to show off his report card.
Not just the Bank of England, not just the OBR, not just the OECD, but also the IMF, all of them have upgraded their growth outlook for the United Kingdom economy, and we continue to be on track to keep reducing inflation because that is the right economic priority.
A two-day Ukraine recovery conference kicked off in London on Wednesday. PM Rishi Sunak opened the proceedings, which saw NATO allies gather to support the embattled country. Rishi said the Ukraine needs fast-track support now to unleash its potential. Addressing the conference over Zoom, Ukrainian President Zelensky was grateful for the UK's support.
Thank you for your kind words about Ukraine, about our soldiers, and thanks for your leadership and support the UK provides to Ukraine.
He also admitted the Ukraine counter-offensive is going more slowly than desired, but said it's not a Hollywood movie and the priority is to protect Ukrainian troops. The EU announced a new 11th package of sanctions on Russia and pledged €50 billion over the next 3 years to help rebuild Ukraine. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in London fresh from his visit to China, and he too had a contribution to Ukraine's recovery.
As Russia continues to destroy, we are here to help Ukraine rebuild its future. And today, I'm announcing that with the support of the United States Congress, we will provide more than $1.3 billion in additional aid to help Ukraine toward that goal.
The COVID inquiry continued to hear evidence on Wednesday with appearances from Oliver Dowden, former Chief Scientific Advisor Mark Walport and Jeremy Hunt. Hunt, who was Health Secretary from 2012 to 2018, took responsibility for what he called deeply entrenched planning assumptions that turned out to be wrong when it came to COVID. He also suggested that better use of quarantine could have avoided nationwide lockdowns. Oliver Dowden, who's now Deputy Prime Minister but was previously responsible for national emergencies, said he was told Britain was in a good state of preparedness.
Indeed, throughout my time as a Minister, received further briefings, all of which were consistent with advice that we were broadly in a pretty strong state of preparedness. As I received further a piece of information and briefing which reinforced that general picture.
Former Health Minister Lord Bethell, who was appointed in March 2020, told Radio 4 that things like the scramble for ventilators and PPE weren't the problem, it was all to do with the lack of proper planning.
It's not embarrassing to try your hardest to react to an emergency. Where we should be looking at is our lack of preparation and the fact that we didn't see clearly the lessons from 2003 and from SARS.
Social media's been swamped for the last 4 days with the search for the Titan submersible that lost contact on Sunday morning. Every TV and social media platforms covered every second of the search with grim countdowns as to how much oxygen the 5 passengers may have left. Stories of knocking heard in the ocean by a Canadian spotter plane brought hope, but even with 10 ships and multiple remote subs continuing to search, the practicalities of the situation mean there's really very little prospect for a happy ending to another Titanic tragedy. Former submarine captain Ryan Ramsey says that people need to understand just how hostile the ocean can be.
Submarines are as complex as spacecraft, and you take them into an area that's less explored than space. So I have have always had a huge respect for the sea. And when things go wrong in submarines, they go wrong very, very rapidly.
Still to come on the Smart 7, Wimbledon gets a wild card and Zendaya wants new balls. Right after this.
Turo is the world's largest car-sharing marketplace. With Turo, you can book any car you want, wherever you want it, from a community of local hosts. Browse a huge selection of vehicles for just about any occasion or budget. Book an SUV or minivan for a family road trip, a pickup truck for some errands, or even test drive an EV. Every trip is backed by liability insurance. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Find your drive. Forget boring rental cars at Turo.com.
Welcome back.
We're a week or so away from the Wimbledon singles draw and there's been a surprise wildcard entry. She's currently ranked 697th in the world, but she's a 5 times Wimbledon champion and at age 43 is ready to do it all again. She's Venus Williams and is currently playing at the Rothesay Classic in Birmingham, winning her first round match and due to play again today. As the Women's Tennis Association celebrates 50 years, women's tennis legend Billie Jean King says it's a great time for women's sport.
Women's sports is almost, if not, on the tipping point. I won't have perspective on it until a few years from now if I'm still kicking, but I can feel it. There's a real change in the air. More and more people are investing in women and women's sports.
Eagle-eyed Bridgerton fans will have spotted some sneak peeks of Season 3 as part of Netflix's global To Dumb event. The new season will focus on Penelope Featherton and Colin Bridgerton as Shonda Rhimes works her way through the Bridgerton books. Nicola Coughlan, who plays Penelope, wasn't giving any dates away, but she's really excited about her turn in the spotlight with co-star and bestie Luke Newton.
Luke and I read the books at the beginning in Season 1 and it was funny to us. We were like, imagine if we have to kiss and do this stuff. And then when Season 3 came around, we were like, oh God. It's a spicy one. It's a lot of the stuff from the books that the fans expect. Season 1 was about passion. Season 2 is about longing. Season 3 is romance. It's so romantic.
Have you been scrolling through the cinema listings hoping to find a romantic sports comedy drama? Well, boy, do I have good news for you. It's called Challengers and it stars Zendaya, Josh O'Connor and Mike Feist in a tennis threesome. It's set in Boston, produced by Zendaya and due to premiere at the Venice Film Festival. And judging by the trailer, we may need
new balls, please.
I'm playing for both of us, Tashi.
I think maybe we're disturbed by the fact that she could have been into someone like me.
When we were teenagers.
When we were teenagers. Hey, I love you.
I know. You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes and we'll give you the world.